Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Always Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. That other Mati, whenever you're ready, you can start Mati. Please accept my humble obeisances. Always Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. That other. Is that you who are going to read Mati today, Brother Mati?
Yeah, I'm reading, Prabhuji.
Oh, sorry, sure.
Okay. Hare Krishna, to all dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 6. Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva, from the text 33. Text 33. The demigod saw Lord Shiva sitting under the tree, which was from text 34. Okay. The demigods saw Lord Shiva sitting under the tree, which was contemplated to give the perfections to the mystic yogis and the deliver all peoples. As grave as the time eternal, he appeared to have given up all the angers. Text 34. Lord Shiva sat there, surrounded by saintly persons like Kuvera, the master of the Guhyakas, and the four Kumaras who were already liberated souls. Lord Shiva was given grave and saintly. Text 35. The demigod saw Lord Shiva situated in his perfection as the master of the senses, knowledge, fruitive activities, and the path of achieving perfection. He was the friend of the entire world, and by virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious. Text 36. He was seated on a deer skin and was practicing all forms of austerities because his body was smeared with his ashes. He looked like an evening cloud. On his hair was the sign of the half moon and the symbolic representation. Text 37. He was seated on a straw mattresses and speaking to all the present, including the great sage Narada, to whom he specifically spoke about the absolute truth. Text 38. He His left leg was placed on the right thigh, and his left hand was placed on his left thigh. This sitting posture is called Vajrasana. In his right hand, he held Rudraksha beads, and his fingers was in the mode of the argument. Text 39. All the sages and the demigods headed by Indra offered their respectable obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in the saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. Text 40th. Lord Shiva's lotus feet was worshipped by both the demigods and demons, but still, in spite of his external position, as soon as he saw that Lord Brahma was there among all the other demigods, he immediately stood up and offered him respect by bowing down and touching his lotus feet, just as Vamanadev offered his respectable obeisances to Kashyapa Muni. Text 41. All the sages who were sitting with Lord Shiva, such as Narada and others, also offered their respectable obeisances to Lord Brahma. After being so worshipped, Lord Brahma, smiling, began to speak to Lord Shiva. Text 42. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord Shiva, I know that you are the controller of the entire material manifestation, the combination, father and mother of the cosmic manifestation, and the supreme Brahma beyond the cosmic manifestation as well. I know you in that way. Text 43. My dear Lord, you create this cosmic manifestation, maintain it, and inherit it by expansion of your personality. Exactly as the spider creates, maintains, and wind up its web. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mate. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sundaracala Prabhu, when are you ready? You can start, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for reading today's translation, dear Radharani Devidasi Mataji. So, today's chapter, Brahma satisfies Lord Vishnu, 4.6, Canto 4, Chapter 6, Brahma satisfies Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and we're discussing today from verse number 33 to 43. There's a section which actually talks about the darshan of Lord Shiva as seen by demigods from the perspective of demigods. So in previous classes, we heard about demigods approaching Lord Brahma for help, and then followed by a description of Kailash hill, and then followed by the description of Alakapuri region. And then today we're going to continue the discussion of the Darshana of Lord Shiva as seen by the demigods, with starting with the brief prayers. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So after the sacrifice was destroyed by Veerabhadra in previous chapter, what happens was all those who are been injured and fled have approached Lord Brahma for help. So Lord Brahma actually initially starts chastising them for reminding them the position of Lord Shiva, and he has he tells them that he has the ability to destroy the entire universe, and he's he will not be happy after offending such a great personality and a Vaishnava such as Lord Shiva. So if you're trying to be happy and at the same time trying to offend exalted personality, that is not going to happen. So like that, he now takes a role of advising them. Lord Brahma being one of the most, he's being the first born jiva in this universe, who is the most senior compared to all the jivas. He takes a role of advisory to tell them that it is good for you to go and beg pardon and ask for his forgiveness, Lord Shiva's forgiveness, and Lord Shiva will easily forgive. And I know that. Like that, he advises. So Brahma takes the demigods to Lord Shiva's abode. So when they when they were taken there, they witness beauty of Alakapuri region, the forest of Alakapuri, and actually the Sunanda forest, which is having a special fragrant lotus flowers. So it is also surrounded by a couple of rivers, where Nanda and Alakananda rivers. Demigods actually get influenced by the beauty of those in that place, and they get indulged. So description of a big banyan tree, which is as huge as mm, 800 miles high and 600 miles wide. So such a huge banyan tree where there is a permanent shadow and there is no disturbances of birds. So such a description was given, under which Lord Shiva has sat in a peaceful position. So that is what we have heard so far in previous class. So when Shiva was thus observed gravely under a banyan tree in a Virasana, verse number 33, 34, Shiva is seen to be sitting surrounded by saintly persons. And who are they? They are actually Sunanda Adayaha, the four Kumaras. And he's also surrounded by saintly people, exalted people. And is also having Narada as an audience. That is what demigods have witnessed when they saw Lord Shiva. These personalities sitting with Lord Shiva are significant because four Kumaras were liberated from birth. It may be remembered that their birth of these four Kumaras were after the birth of these four Kumaras, they were born liberated actually. So these four Kumaras were requested by Lord Brahma, please go ahead and progenate and increase the population of this universe. Then they have rejected it respectfully. So what happens? The Brahma got angry, and then the third personality gets generated. So that's how Rudra, Lord Shiva, comes into, he descends into this world in the beginning of creation. So there's Lord Shiva association with the four Kumaras in this assembly, and Kuvera, who is also surrounded by Kuvera, who is indicated here as a master of a Guhyakas. And they are described here as very saintly people, Guhyakas. And it is to be noted that Shiva being associated with these personalities actually indicates that he has all transcendental as well as the material opulences. Shiva might appear poor and he might act poorly in terms of being in a crematorium and all, but actually here it is being highlighted that he is possessor of all opulences because he's a qualitative incarnation of Supreme Lord and his position is very exalted. Text number 35, where it is mentioned, Vidya tapo yoga patham asthitam tham adhishwaram charantam vishwasuhrudam vatsalya loka mangalam. Vidya, Tapo, Yoga, these are the qualifications of Lord Shiva. He is a full of embodiment of knowledge, austerity, and he is perfected in the devotional service. That's the first one. And the second one is he's a master of senses, Adhishwaram. Vishwa Shuhrudam, despite of all this, is actually a friend. He's not like a pride materialist, but rather he's a Vishwa Suhrudam, despite of his exalted position, friend of all the whole world. Vatsalya Loka Mangalam, out of the affection for everyone, he's seen to be performing austerities. He's already a qualitative incarnation. What is the need for him to perform austerities? He's actually doing those austerities for the purpose of benefiting the fallen souls. So here, one who knows the modes of work is understood to be in the full wisdom. He is understood to be in the devotional service and that he will be engaged in devotional service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vidya, that is what we witness with Lord Shiva here. One cannot serve Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead, unless one is achieved perfect knowledge in the ways and the means of performing the devotional service. So Lord Shiva is described here as Adhishwara. the second qualification, which means the controller, particularly controller of the senses. Generally, Prabhupada mentions contaminated senses, they get engaged in sense gratificatory activities. But when a person is elevated by wisdom and austerity, the same senses which will act because of purification, they become engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So Lord Shiva is the emblem of such perfection of devotional service. So Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Shiva is the foremost of the Vaishnavas. And Shiva, by his actions within this material world, teaches all the conditioned souls how to engage in devotional service 24 hours per day. Therefore, he is described here as Loka Mangalam, good fortune personified for all conditioned souls. So, auspiciousness comes from the devotion towards Lord Krishna, and he is epitome, emblem of such perfection, Lord Shiva. So, text number 36. Shiva was seen to be performing austerities. As you can see, the description is saying as he sat on a deer skin, practicing all forms of austerity. Because his body was smeared with ashes, he looked like a evening cloud. On his hair was a sign of a half moon, crest of half moon, a symbolic representation. Prabhupada says the symptoms of austerity exhibited by Shiva are not exactly those of a Vaishnavas. Number one Vaishnava he is, but he exhibits a feature for particular class of men. So he's trying to attract particular class of men who cannot follow Vaishnava's principles, Vaishnavic principles and regulations. So he's trying to elevate the atheists, demons, and all those people who are actually not in a position to even get into a platform of devotional service. They are not in that level of situation where they can take up the devotional service. So he's actually trying to attract such fallen souls by these acts. The Saivites, devotees of Lord Shiva, generally dress like Lord Shiva. Sometimes they imitate, basically. Sometimes they indulge in smoking and they take intoxicants. Such practices are never accepted by the followers of Vaishnava rituals. This is the reason why Prabhupada says the symptoms exhibited by Lord Shiva are not exactly of a Vaishnava. But he's doing that in order to get an attention of the people, certain class of men who cannot follow the Vaishnava culture. So text 37, he was seated on a straw mattress. This is further description of the austerities of Lord Shiva, speaking to all present, including the great sage Narada, whom he specifically spoke about the absolute truth. So, Upavishtam Darbhamayam Brushyam Brahma Sanatanam Naradaya Pravochantam Pruchate Shrunvatam Satam. The great sages Satam and Narada are the audience who are hearing the pravachana from Lord Shiva. When he is speaking about the devotional service, the Lord Shiva was sitting on a mattress of a straw because such a sitting place is accepted by the persons practicing austerities to gain the understanding of absolute truth. So, speaking to a great sage Narada, celebrated devotee, Lord Shiva, about the devotional service, how do we understand that the subject matter is devotional service? Prabhupada here says, since the fact that the assembly has a great sage Narada sitting and listening, a celebrated devotee, the subject matter cannot be anything none other than the devotional service. Here, the supreme instructor is Lord Shiva, whereas the great sage Narada is a supreme audience. Therefore, the subject matter is bhakti. So text 38 describes the Virasana of Lord Shiva. The sitting posture described here in this verse is called Virasana according to the Ashtanga Yoga system. And Prabhupada says, besides Virasana, there are other sitting postures. But somebody who thinks that, like for example, Padmasana, Siddhasana, practice of these asanas, if we are trying to, somebody who's trying to imitate Lord Shiva, practice of these asanas without elevating oneself, like for example, somebody is imitating Lord Shiva, the way he dresses, as in the previous report, the way he sometimes he exhibits like as if he's smoking marijuana, like that. So when such acts are seen and seem to be and some people might try to imitate. So Prabhupada here is clarifying just the practice of these asanas without elevating oneself to the position of realizing the Vishnu, the super soul, is not the perfectional stage of yoga. That is actually not a yoga. So Prabhupada is saying. So Lord Shiva is called Yogishvara, the master of all yogis, whereas Krishna is called Yogeshvara. And the difference is Yogi Ishvara, which is Shiva, indicates that one who can surpass the yoga practice of, no one can surpass the yoga practice of Lord Shiva. Whereas Yogeshwara, which is the title of Krishna, what it is indicates is one who can pass, no one can surpass the yogic perfection of Krishna. It's a root word, yuj, basically yoga. It is there are two different adjectives here, yogi and yoge. So Ishvara. So we have to just decipher them, sandhi vichedana we have to do, and then understand that there is a clear difference between Yogeshwara and Yogeshwara. And Krishna here is described as the one who cannot be surpassed in the perfection of a yoga, whereas Shiva is described to be the one who is the foremost among all the yogis, practitioners of the yoga. So the source being the Krishna. Another significant word is Tarka Mudra, which means actually, I think most of us are aware. Tarka Mudra means using the forefinger and the thumb like this and spreading these three fingers like that. And he puts that on the right thigh, and he is in the Virasana pose, and he has the Rudraksha bead that he's chanting, Rudraksha beads. And 39 verse talks about all sages and demigods offered their respects and obeisances to Lord Shiva with folded hands. And Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments, absorbed in trance, appearing to be foremost of all sages. Manunam Ajyam Manum, here Shiva is described as. The word Brahmananda is significant. Prabhupada says that Brahma Nirvana, as explained by Prahlad Maharaj in 7th Canto, when one is completely absorbed in Adhokshaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is the trance actually. Here, what exactly is it? A regular trance of a normal yogi that Shiva is in? No, he is absorbed in Adhoksha, the Supreme Personality of God, who is beyond the sense perception of materialistic persons, one who is situated in Brahmananda. So it is impossible to conceive his Supreme Personality, pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, transcendentally situated beyond the material conception. It is impossible to conceive for a materialistic person or a regular common man what is going on here. So because materialists cannot imagine or conceive a Supreme Person of Godhead, they might think God is not here. Some might say God is dead. Prabhupada says here. But factually, he is always existing. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. And he has eternal form. So constant meditation on the form of the Lord is called Samadhi, and it is described as a trance ecstasy. Samadhi means particularly a qualification of always meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is actually being described here further as Brahma Nirvana or Brahmananda. The Lord Shiva exhibited those symptoms. So Yoga Kaksham, Yoga is a sitting posture, description here. Manuna Majyam are significant actually. Here it is, as we initially spoke, Manunam Ajyam Manum. That means he is chief among all the thinkers, chief thinker among all the foremost thinkers. So chief of all thinkers means he is always thoughtful regarding how to deliver the demons from their fallen condition of life. So here it does not mean that he is a mental speculator like a regular Muni. And Sadasiva appeared as Advaita Mahaprabhu. This is a very significant point where Prabhupada is making. During the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Gauda Desha, Sadasiva appeared as Advaita Prabhu. And Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Since people were engaged in useless occupations which would continue their material existence, seeing this, Advaita Acharya was moved, melted, and he is with compassion towards this fallen situation of people engaged in the perpetual cycle. Advaita appealed to Supreme Lord to appear as Lord Chaitanya to deliver these illusion souls. Actually, Lord Chaitanya appeared on the request of Lord Advaita, and similarly, Lord Shiva has a sampradaya. As you can see, Advaita himself is an incarnation of Sadashiva, especially one moment, actually, Gopeshwar Mahadev is incarnation of Gopeshwar Mahadev. So similarly, Lord Shiva has sampradaya, the Rudra sampradaya, who is always thinking about the deliverance of fallen souls, as exhibited by Advaita Prabhu. So Shiva stood up, seeing Brahma in the next verse. So it is described, Satupalabhyagatam Atmayonim Surashureshwar Abhivandita Angrahi Uttaya Chakre Sirasa Abhivandanam Arhattamah Kashya Yatha Eva Vishnu. So, as you can see, Atma Yonim indicates the Brahma, Lord Brahma. What is he doing? He is paying Abhivanditangrihi. He is paying obeisances at the feet of whom? He is Sureshayir. That means actually the best of the demigods, best of the demigods, and that is Lord Shiva. And it is compared here, the obeisances paid by Lord Shiva to Lord Brahma. Sorry, actually, the obeisances is paid by Lord Shiva to Lord Brahma. And it is here compared with an analogy, Arhatamaha Kashya Yathaiva Vishnu. As if Kashyapa Muni, how the Kashyapa Muni has offered obeisances, was being offered obeisances by Lord Vamanadev. Vamanadev appeared as a son of Kashyapa Muni. Despite he being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vamanadev actually offered obeisances to Kashyapa Muni. So the act of Shiva paying obeisances to Lord Brahma is compared to that. The reason being, Lord Krishna similar such instances were described here. He offered his respects to Kashyapa Muni, Vamanadev. Lord Krishna as a child used to pay respects and obeisances to Nanda and Ashoda. And the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna touched the feet of Maharaj Yudhishthir. And all these aspects indicate that it appears that the personality of Godhead, Krishna, Shiva, all other devotees, in spite of their being situated in exalted positions, instructing us here by practical example and how to offer obeisances to the superiors. So that is the essence of this verse. It's a very significant verse also. The previous purport 39 and purport of 39 and purport of 40 are reading verses for today. So verse 41 indicates, after having offered obeisances, Kruta Pranam Prahasan Ivat Atmabhu. So Atmabhu is Brahma. Shashanka Shekaram. Shiva is addressed as Shashanka Shekaram. Krutta Prananam. After that, what was happening here is um, Brahma appeared to be Prahasan, smiling. And here Prabhupada explains why Brahma is smiling when Shiva is paying obeisances. So, and the intent of Lord Brahma's smile is that Shiva is easily satisfied. And that is the whole purpose of his visit, to convince him, to pacify him, and to make to reinstate um, the sacrificial ceremony which was stopped, right, because of the series of events, and also to protect the Daksha and his followers in order to reinstate their physical situation, to pacify them also. So this is the whole purpose. And Shiva has lost his wife, and he is in a very, very lamentable position, but he is not exhibiting that outside. He seems to be very peaceful. Now, Brahma is very hesitant here because he's smiling though. The reason is explained here as, number one, he's easily satisfied. That's why his Brahma's smile indicates that Shiva can still be easily satisfied, Ashutosh. And he is also aware that he gets easily irritated. Number two. Number three, he is afraid that Lord Shiva might be in angry mood because that he had lost his wife and because he was insulted by Daksha. In order to conceal his fear, he smiled and addressed to Lord Shiva in the next verse. So although Brahma received respects of Shiva, he knew that Shiva was more exalted than himself. And now Brahma glorifies Shiva in a mood of Shaivites. He's actually trying to be one of them, right? Not because he's going to the abode of Lord Shiva. And the assembly also includes Shaivites. So he's trying to be glorifying. Brahma starts glorifying Lord Shiva in the mood of Shaivites. So Brahma glorifies Lord Shiva, of course, within the realm of the Vaishnavism. Brahma glorifies Lord Shiva, petitions him. As part of, along with the glory, he starts petitioning his requests also. So from verse 42 to 53, this is the subject matter. So in verse 42, Jane tvam isham vishwasya. I know you are the controller of entire material manifestation, dear Lord Shiva. Jane tvam isham vishwasya. Jagato yoni bijayoho shakte shivasya cha param. And you are represented as a Purusha and a Prakriti, which is father and mother of this cosmic manifestation. I am aware of that, Lord Shiva. And the third point he's saying is Yattat Brahma Nirantaram, which is Supreme Brahman beyond the cosmic manifestation. Here, sometimes Lord Shiva is praised at the level of Lord Vishnu because he is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Shiva acts on the behalf of Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu, unattached to the material activities, since Vishnu can never be attached to material activities, He is in the Shuddha Sattva, untouched by external energy. But when the same Lord Vishnu comes in contact with material energy, when material activities have to be performed, he appears in this feature as Lord Shiva. This is clearly described in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, Canto 8 and 7th chapter. Their Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are non-different in the sense that the milk in the yogurt, the milk present in the yogurt as well as the original milk are non-different in that sense. So the Lord Shiva's position is described in Brahma Samhita. There is no difference between the Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva in their original positions, but still Lord Shiva is different from Lord Vishnu. The example given here is milk and yogurt is not different from original milk, but at the same time it is different also. So the last verse for today, verse number 43. Shiva Shaktayoho, auspicious energy, Swarupayoho, by your personal expansion. This is a glorification of Lord Shiva in the prayers. Vishwam Srujati Pashi Atsi. That means Vishwam is, the universe is created, maintained, as well as annihilated by you. And you are the possessor of auspicious energy, Shiva Shaktayoho, Swarupayoho, and you do all this by your personal expansions. Kridan urna pato yatha. That means just like exactly a spider creates, maintains, and winds up using its own energy, the cobweb, similarly you do that. You do the universal creation, maintain, and also you recreate it after destroying. So if we can recall from Canto 2, Brahma was also addressed like this by Narada. Kridan urna pato yatha, similar to this. But Brahma, he took an opportunity to clarify. Oh, dear Narada, you might be thinking so, but actually I am not. You might be thinking I am independently creating, but I am actually not in an independent situation. But here you can notice that Shiva is keeping quiet. He is not acknowledging back. And there could be, there is no description given why he doesn't addresses that. He doesn't have to. He being the qualitative incarnation of Supreme Lord. And here we can see that Shiva Shakti is significant, means auspicious. And Prabhupada says, energies of Supreme Lord, whatever energy it is, that must be auspicious only. All the energies of Supreme Lord are auspicious only. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, all Gunavataras, incarnation of material qualities. And the material world, we compare these different incarnations from different angles of vision. At our level, we might compare. And when we compare, although sometimes we consider one quality of nature to be higher or lower than the other, we might compare that mode of ignorance or tamaguna is considered much lower than others. But in the higher sense, Prabhupada is saying, it is also auspicious. The example herein is given as the government is having two departments, educational department and criminal department. Outsider may consider that criminal department is inauspicious, but from the government's point of view, it is as important as educational department. That's why government finances both the finance department as educational department as well as the criminal department equally without discrimination. So this is a discussion for today, dear devotees. Thank you so much for hearing today's Bhagavatam session. And Sri Grantharaja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And please forgive me if I have misrepresented anything or spoke anything that doesn't make sense. Please let me know. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sundaracala Prabhu. Wonderful class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.